mentioned power. What's your appreciation of this ongoing power issue? I mean, just yesterday or 2 days ago, I saw again that Electricity Company of Ghana had issued a statement that GridCo had reduced power supply, and so some areas were not going to have power. But we all know, or at least I think I know, that the issue is not about GridCo reducing power because they want to. It's because we don't have money to buy fuel. It's because of the lack of transparency, some infrastructural challenges, transmission losses, the myriad of issues affecting our power sector. What's your appreciation of this?
You know, sweetie, I look at what is happening now in the power sector, and I think that it is time I bring back a picture that I have repeatedly painted for people to appreciate how terribly our country has been managed since 2017. But, you know, a story is better appreciated when it is told within a certain context and at a certain time. I have said repeatedly that if you look at this government, they had no business being one of the worst that we have experienced in the Fourth Republic. Why? Because they came into power with a lot of goodwill. If for nothing at all, they themselves brag about how they won the 2016 elections with over 1 million votes. So the goodwill was not lacking. And so the people of Ghana were willing to support them to succeed. That aside, they inherited a number of infrastructural and economic, transformations that had taken off. For example, in the power sector, you will recall that under President Rawlings, we had Dumsor. Under President Kufuor, we had Dumsor. And that is why, even in managing it, he brought in machines.
Mahama.
I'm getting there. Okay. I'm picking it from that side, from President Kufuor, Rawlings to Kufuor. When he tried to manage it, I'm referring to President Kufuor, he brought in machines that his VRA boss at the time, Charles Woku-Brobo, described as toy machines. Then came President Mills, who also experienced Dumsor. I recall the joke he told about how his niece was in the salon and the power went off and they said at Mills and the niece complained. So all these presidents experienced this Dumsor challenge. Now why? At the time, the experts told us that we were not investing the way we should in power generation. And so generation was not, meeting the growth in demand.
Okay.
That was the verdict. So if you were not investing in generation capacity and fixing other challenges, and you were just managing it with toy machines and other palliative actions, obviously what was going to happen? It was going to get worse someday. And so when President Mahama took over, that was when it got worse. Being the leader and the visionary person that he was, he didn't blame his predecessors for not taking action when they should have. In fact, some people went to the Akosombo Dam under President Kufuor to pray for water to fill the dam so we'll get power. Those were the solutions that people were proffering before President Mahama. But when he took over, he decided that this needed to be resolved. And he accepted responsibility, stood before Parliament, where the people representatives are, and made a pledge to fix it. And sweetie, by the time he left office, he had fixed it. He fixed it in 3 ways. 3 ways. And I'll come back to the story that I've been telling. The challenge at the time, or the challenges at the time, were generation capacity, fuel shortage, and financial constraints. Financial constraints because over the years, we were not investing and we were riddled, the sector was riddled with debts. And so banks were not even willing to lend money to investors in that industry. How did he solve it? he fast-tracked the Ghana Gas Infrastructure Project to make fuel available. He went ahead in 2016 when he was leaving office to sign the ENI agreement to make fuel available. And that is why reporters, after 2016, did not have to deal with West Africa gas pipeline breakages. And, when I was a reporter in those days, every time WACP had a problem, WACP was West Africa gas pipeline, yeah. Ghana faced Dumsor. But by the time President Mahama left, he made sure that ENI was available, Ghana Gas was available, solving that fuel problem.
Okay, let's proceed.
Then he solved the financial problem by introducing ELSLA. Even at a time that it was going to affect his re-election chances, because it was an election year and times were hard. And people didn't want to pay more taxes. But he said, this is the way to solve this problem. We needed to introduce ESLA. The opposition then took advantage, hit the streets, made him more unpopular about it. But guess what? When they came into power, they mismanaged ESLA. Because by the time he was leaving office, he didn't even enjoy the proceeds of ESLA. Because he implemented it and lost. Then the accumulation started under their regime. And what did they do? They took the money that was coming in and collateralized it by taking the future money that was supposed to come to ESLA and used it, in other unproductive areas. And today, because of what they have done to ESLA, they cannot pay the independent power producers because that money was supposed to be ring-fenced to be used to pay legacy debts and also pay the independent power producers. They have chopped that money, and I'm using the Ghanaian phrase. They have chopped that money and even chopped future money. And so it's no longer available, even though you and I are still paying ESLA. Okay. So that's how he solved the financial problem. The generation problem, the verdict is out there. He brought in car power, brought in Ameri, brought in all those things for which he was crucified.
Let's stay on Ameri because it's part of...
But you see, if I don't finish this talk train...
Please.
So he solved it for them. And so they had no business taking us back.